Healthy eating. 1. Food. Okay, I think I get everything you've said so far. But what about all the rest of the things in food? There's a lot more to food than just glucose and fat, right? What about protein and vitamins and all the rest of that stuff? You're right. There are some other important things in food besides glucose and fat. Maybe we should take a step back for a minute and talk about food more generally. Okay, anything you eat, whether it's a plant or an animal, is made up of some combination of proteins, vitamins, minerals, carbs, and fat. All of those things are important, but if we're going to focus on metabolism and weight regulation, we don't really need to talk much about proteins, and we can totally ignore vitamins and minerals, at least until the very end. Really? Protein can actually be used for energy, but it's kind of a last resort. All of the protein in your body is there for some other purpose, so you don't really want to be using it for energy. You just need to make sure you eat enough of it. The same goes for vitamins and minerals. Now, don't get me wrong, there are a lot of people who don't get enough protein, vitamins, or minerals and are unhealthy because of it. But for the most part, those are people whose access to food is restricted because they're poor or because they live in a place where unprocessed food is hard to get. For you, it shouldn't be something you need to worry about. If you eat a reasonable variety of natural foods, you'll be fine. We'll get to the really big picture diet stuff at the end, but it'll make more sense if you understand what's going on in your body first. Okay, so we're only worried about carbs and fat. Right. Now, there are two kinds of carbs, the ones you can digest and the ones you can't. The carbs you can digest come in a few different basic forms. The most important are glucose, which we've already discussed, and fructose, which is the one that actually tastes sweet. Glucose doesn't taste sweet? No. So sugar is fructose, not glucose? I assume that by sugar, you mean the white crystals that you put in your coffee or use for baking? That is half glucose and half fructose. Oh, okay. And that's really the only way you'll ever find fructose, in combination with glucose as sugar. Glucose, on the other hand, also comes in large strings on its own, called starches. Things like white bread, white rice, and pasta are just long strings of glucose. Okay, so when we eat carbs, we're really just eating either long strings of glucose or little pairs of glucose and fructose. That's right, if you're thinking about only the carbs you can digest. Right. Wait, if we can digest fructose, but it's not used for energy, what is it used for? Now that is a very important question. Thousands of years ago, our ancestors wouldn't have eaten that much sugar, so it wouldn't have mattered that much. There is sugar in many natural foods, like fruits, but the amounts are relatively small. But now that we've started extracting sugar from plants and adding it to everything, we're eating much more of it than we used to. So the question of what happens to fructose when it enters your body has suddenly become very important. We'll get into the details of that in a minute, but I think it would be better to finish talking about food first. Okay, go on. Okay, so there are also carbs that you can't digest called fiber. So what happens when we eat fiber? It just passes right through. Well, no. Actually, fiber does get digested, not by you, but by your gut bacteria. What? Listen, I know you're going to have a lot of questions as we go along. I'll try to answer some of them, especially if you just need clarification, but I need you to try to go with the flow and trust me. There is a lot you need to know, and I'm trying to tell you things in the order that will make it easiest for you to see the whole picture in the end. I promise I will answer all of your questions eventually. Okay, sorry, go on. Right. So the different kinds of carbs you need to think about are glucose, fructose, and fiber. There are also different kinds of fat. Right? I know that there are good and bad fats. Yes, I suppose there are, although you're probably thinking of good and bad fats in terms of how they affect your cholesterol. It turns out that was all wrong. Really? Wait, what is cholesterol anyway? Is that a kind of fat? Yes, but it's not used for energy. It is used by your cells for a lot of other important things though. There is cholesterol in food, but we're not going to worry about it. Why not? Because you actually make a lot of cholesterol yourself. If you eat more of it, your body will make less. If you eat less of it, your body will make more. Either way, the amount of cholesterol in your body will stay pretty much the same. Point 3. Really? Okay. Don't worry, we'll talk a lot about cholesterol later. First, let's get back to the different kinds of fats. Actually, you know what? The distinction between different fats isn't going to make any sense until later, when we start talking about inflammation. I think we can go through digestion and a few other things without worrying about that. Good. So when it comes to food, we've only got 4 things to worry about. There are starches, like pasta, rice, and bread, which are long strings of glucose. There's sugar, which is a combination of glucose and fructose. There's fiber, which is the part of plants that we can't digest. Right. And there are fats, which we're just grouping all together for now. Got it.